I like to do the full painting on site, but not a large painting. I used to do really large ones, and I realized it's not really, doesn't make much sense because the light changes so fast. And what happens if you are painting outside and the light keeps changing, you keep wanting to change your painting, and then it gets very confusing. So for me, the best thing to do is just to do a, actually what I have there, the setup is like 17 by 22. Is really a nice size. It's not too big, it's not too little, you know, you can work outside easy, you can capture the light before it changes too much. Because the light is always changing. I like to use my iPad. I have the iPad and I photograph when I think the light is absolutely where I want it. So then if I keep painting and the light is changed, I have my iPad. The reason I like the iPad versus just a little camera is because it gives me a nice big picture. And, you know, I can't leave it on. I mean, it turns itself off, but I can look at where the light was. One day I was in France, a town called Vence, in Provence. And I was walking, and it's a town with lots and lots of galleries. And I was walking up and I was looking at those paintings, and most of them were done with palette knife. And that I found fascinating because I was painting with brushes, and you know, the brushes are always dirty. And to really do a beautiful, bright, happy, clean painting with dirty brushes is almost impossible. So that's why you have to have a lot of brushes continuously. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be easier if you just had a knife and you wipe it off and then you know. And actually what happened, it was more instantaneous. It was faster. It was more like the watercolor. You know, instead of working everything from dark to light, which is the normal way of painting oil paintings, I decided, why not just, if it's white, put white. You know, if it's black, put black. Whatever it is, put it in there. Basically, that's what the Impressionists did. You can start any time. You know, most of us don't have the opportunity until much later in life. You know, we all have to make a living, and to make a living as an artist, very few people can honestly do that. So I'm fortunate that, you know, my art sells well enough that I could, you know, live from it, but very few artists can. And so I feel anytime you have the time, because it is time consuming, you can start painting. And the way I see it is that if you're so inclined and you want to start painting, just look around, look on the internet, look in museums, look in galleries, find an artist whose work you really like, see if you can study with them. No point studying with somebody that's painting something that you don't like. You know, you don't want to learn that. You only want to learn the things you really like, that speak to you. You know, what I like to paint is something that I really feel. This is a beautiful scene here in San Pancho. It's called the Malecon, with the Saint Francis. There are vendors. There are the witch hole Indians that are hanging out with selling their witch hole crafts. And they're very colorful, you know, with their witch hole outfits. And so I'm kind of trying to capture a little bit of what the life of San Pancho is. The light to me is very important, and so I'd like to try to capture the light. So you have to figure out where the sun comes from, and in that particular case, there's this huge tree, big banyan tree, and so it throws shadows everywhere. It's almost too shadowy, so I'm always exaggerating the positive thing and kind of downplaying the negative. So I'm creating more sunlight than there actually is, because I like it to feel like it's what there is. It's sunshine and happiness and just the activity in that little square. You know, it creates texture. If I just put one layer on, when you look at it, you see it, and then you get bored. Because I like to keep more layers, more interest, you know. Somebody has that hanging in their house. Every day they look at it, they want to see something else. Oh, I didn't see that, I didn't see that. So it keeps their interest going. So everything takes, it takes a while to build up all the layers. And I like being free. You know, I'm not trying to make portraits. I'm just, I don't paint eyelashes. You know, I want to just give an overall feeling of what there is. And most people paint too long. You know, you keep going, and there comes a point where you say, you know, I don't know whether it's finished or not, so it's better to stop. Put it away, sit down, have a coffee, look at it. Maybe not do anything until the next day. And the next day you may feel differently. You may say, you know what, it doesn't need anything else. Or yes, it needs certain things. And then you go back into it.